Welcome to the Talegate podcast with your host, Al Blanton. At Talegate, we celebrate the rich history of sports in the state of Alabama. So come with us as we relive great moments, great games, great players and coaches, and in the process, preserve memories for a lifetime. Tell me what it was like growing up in Kennedy.
Kennedy is a small town, family oriented. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody is very competitive. We lived, breathed, died sports, baseball, basketball, football. A very prideful town and a lot of love. So growing up there was great for me.
When did you start playing basketball?
I can't remember. It's been that long ago. My grandfather put a basketball goal in the backyard. And from the time I can remember, from my older uncles to myself and my friends, we had been playing ball in the backyard for years. So it was a normal thing.
I read something where all you could see on your backboard was just the square, and you would just shoot till late at night. And but you said you didn't need anything else. You just as long as you saw that square, you were good.
Yeah, correct. We had a basketball goal in my backyard, and then my uncle or my cousin put a basketball goal right down from our house because we were neighbors, and the goal was in between our yard and his yard. And when you're young, with daylight savings time, you could shoot in the moonlight. All you could see was the moonlight, and the moonlight, all I could see was the white of the net and the square on the backboard that we had drew a box on the wood backboard. And I would just sit out there and I would just shoot at that over and over from different spots over and over and over to where it became more of a feel thing for me. And I guess all of that shooting in the dark, not being able to see the rim, just the white of the net and the square, made me a pretty good shooter, I guess.
Who taught you how to shoot?
Self-taught.
Did you kind of watch other players that were playing college basketball at the time, or were there other players in the community that you kind of emulated?
Well, growing up, we had a stud in Kennedy. His name was Kevin Hayden. And Kevin Hayden was a three-sport phenomenon. A great running back, a great basketball player, even baseball players. He had older brothers that was really good at all three sports. So growing up watching those guys and seeing all the things they were doing, it was natural for me, myself, to want to be like that. And it was very impactful. When Kevin was a senior in high school, I was in the 9th grade, and Coach Robert Burdette, who just went into the Alabama Coaches Hall of Fame, he was our coach, and he moved me up to the varsity team. Kevin's senior year, I was in the 9th grade, and practicing against guys like that every day, you have to get better. And Kevin was the type of person that he didn't let up. He didn't feel sorry. He went at you, and it all paid off.
Was South Lamar good before you got there?
Before South Lamar, it was Kennedy High School and Millport High School. Kennedy High School burned down. And after it burned down, instead of building one school for Kennedy, we consolidated Millport and Kennedy High School together, and it became South Lamar. So Kennedy had great athletes. Millport High School had great athletes. Millport, they had won state championships in football before. So you brought Kennedy and Millport together, and honestly, you brought a powerhouse to Lamar County.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as basketball wise, Coach Burdett, that was his first head coaching job, was at South Lamar. So he was the only guy that coached me from 7th grade. I was going to the 7th grade when the school combined and consolidated. And he coached me 7th, 8th grade, moved me up to the varsity 9th grade, and the rest was history for me.
What was it like playing for him? I mean, he's a big dude, and I mean, he's got that like this permanent scowl on his face. I saw that the picture of him getting inducted to the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame, and it was that same scowl. I mean, he's kind of intimidating. What was it like playing for him?
Um, Fun. At first, it was hard. He had high demands. Um, he pushed you, and he pushed you, and he pushed you. And the group of guys he coached, we were all hungry. We wanted that. We felt we had something to prove. And with his attitude coming in, and for all of us, it was a great combination. At first you have your ups and downs, guys trying to gel together, coming from two different cities. Um, the first year, that team went to semifinals, state championship, a state tournament. The next year, the same thing. The next year, the same thing. We could never get over that hump. And then we had 3 or 4 years where, not 3 or 4 years. Yes, it was 3 or 4 years where we didn't make it to Jackson. I'm sorry, we didn't make it to play at Auburn or Tuscaloosa. Fell short the game to go to play in the state tournament. So my senior year, we finally got over that hump, and we brought Coach Burdett and South Lamar the first state championship ever in school history, and that record still holds today.
Was there another side of him too, where maybe he could be a jokester as well?
Yes, 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 yes. He was a player's coach. He wasn't all strict. In between the rectangle, in between the lines, he was like this, but outside, he was like this. So I think all the players had a great relationship with Coach Burdett. I mean, he was that kind of guy.
Now I had to do some research on this one, but I think I got it. So I want to go over the starting five. And it's my understanding now that you ran the point. Um,
Correct,
I guess this would have been your senior year, maybe. But you had you at the one, you had Jason Poole at the two,
correct.
then you had Henry Allred at the three.
No,
Oh,
here,
he didn't start. Okay.
no, no, no. He started, but he wasn't a three. He was the
Where
four.
did Henry fall into the mix? Oh, I'm sorry. Kevin Hood was at the three, and then Henry
Correct.
was at the four.
But Jason Kevin interchanged 2-3, and Henry Allred was the four.
Okay, Henry was. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. And then Bryant Gardner was the five.
Correct. Brian Gardner, correct.
So Wilson, Poole, Hood, Allred, and Gardner.
Correct.
What was that camaraderie like? What do you remember about those guys?
That group of guys were the first guys to bring a state championship to South Lamar. Um, Everyone knew their role. No egos involved. Um, my junior year, I averaged 36 points a game. The next year, expectations were high for me as the team because we fell short. We got beat against Winterboro at the buzzer. The referee didn't give us I made a 3-point shot at the buzzer. The referee called it a 2. I got fouled. I didn't get the foul on that call. So the next year, that night in the locker room after that game, Jason Poole and I sat in the locker room and we talked. We said, man, next year we do not want to feel like this for as long as we've been playing. And so that summer, I went to I played AAU ball with a team out of Birmingham where we traveled to Long Beach, California, Arizona. I went to Louisville, Kentucky, and played in tournaments. So all that experience I was getting that summer helped me out. And then the next year going in, um, we came together. We went to play in the Las Vegas Prep Classic in Las Vegas that Christmas. And playing against those big time teams out there, Jason and myself, we learned more about our team where we had to have another third person to come in and contribute. And on our trip back, I told Kevin Hood, I said, man, you practice against us every day. You play against us every day. We need you to step up and play big for us. I mean, we got big plans on winning the state championship. And that year, Kevin Hood came out of his shell and he averaged 25 points a game that year. So you had me averaging 38 points a game, Jason averaged 33 points a game, and Kevin averaged 25 points a game. So you got 3 guys that's averaging 80 points for one team. With a team like that, it's kind of hard to match up. So you stop one and this guy gonna step up. You stop and this guy gonna step up. So and Henry Allred was the best man at his job, and all he had to do was rebound the ball and get the ball to one of us, and everything is gonna be all right. Oh, and make all your layups. When you get a layup, Henry, you got to make your layups. And Henry did that to the best of his ability. Henry Allred was a hustler. He's going to take charges. He wasn't going to get tired. Henry was just one of those guys where he knew his role, and he did his role at the best of his ability.
Blue collar lunch pail guy.
If you want to call it that. Brian Gardner was a starting quarterback for the football team, 6'3" athlete, tough, strong, rebounded. He knew his role too. He knew get the ball to Darryl, Jason, Kevin, and we're gonna be all right. And he did his part too. So everybody on our team knew their roles. You know, like I said, it was never an ego problem. We just went out and played and had fun, and everybody we played, we wanted to beat, and that's kind of what we did.
You mentioned the Las Vegas trip, and if you look in the state record books, in terms of single game scoring, you're in there several times. Was that 67-point game in Vegas?
67?
Yes.
No, 57. 57.
Okay, I
I
thought
didn't
you
score.
scored.
I didn't score
You
67
scored
in Vegas.
65 in a game. I'm sorry. Did you not score 65 in a game?
I scored 65 against Curry High School.
Okay, so that was against Curry, and that
Yes,
was the
sir.
one that you and Henry combined for 67. You had 65 and Henry had 2. Yeah.
Correct.
All right. So,
Yes.
but then you had 59 against Aniana and 59 against Sullivan. Have you for, have you forgotten those two?
No, sir, I haven't. That Aniana game, it takes Coach Burdett to tell that story. We were number 1 in the state, averaging over 100 points a game. I think Aniana was number 9 in the state. And Coach Burdett and their coach were good friends, and we had an open game. They had an open game, so that's how that game came about. And Coach came to us and said, asked we want to go to play Aniana. They were number 9 in the state. Well, we were a bunch of dogs, so we didn't care who it was. All we wanted to do was play, you know. And we said we'll even go there. They didn't have to come to South tomorrow. We'll go there. I think we felt we had a lot more to prove, you know, being from a small town, small area. So that's what we did. And when we got there, that was Very, very exciting game. A little country town team coming to Aniana. No, it's up in the Birmingham area. You understand? So, but I don't think Aniana really knew what they was getting themselves really into because we had a lot of pride and we did not think no one could beat us. And that game, our team scored 158 points again in that game. I think the final score was 158 to, oh my gosh, 80 something, 90 something, I
And I
think.
think that's a state record too, and for a single game score.
Hmm. Um, I think I had 50, 52 that game. I think Jason may have had 53 that game. And Kevin Hood, I think he had about 35 or something that game. So you add up three guys who score over 130 points in one game. No, that's kind of amazing. I had a good buddy of mine tell me one time. He said, "Man, the way the game is played now, y'all were way before y'all's time because the number of points that you're putting up." But that's the philosophy Coach Burdett had. Back then, Loyola Marymount was the team, and they ran and running guns, shoot, 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 shoot. And that's the philosophy Coach brought to us. And for a high school team, I think we mastered that.
Were you free to just pull up? Let's say that y'all got it out on a break and you're wide open for three. You had the green light.
Coach Burdett told me, "Hey, Darryl, if it feels like leather, shoot it." So you tell me what that means to a young ball player.
Another question about that is, will they let you in the city limits of Aniana now and Sulligent? Can you go back? I mean,
Yeah, I can go back. I think I can. I didn't harm anybody. It's just basketball.
just hung
I,
150
I,
points.
I remember. I remember the following year. South Lamar went back to Aniana, and Brian Gardner is my cousin. And it was during a break, I think Christmas break. I'm not sure when it was, but I went to that game with his parents, and their coach saw me walking into the gym with the team. So he was like, "I thought y'all said he graduated," because he wasn't expecting to see me at the game. So that was a story that was told to me. So I think I'm allowed. I think I'm allowed intelligent and Aniana.
Good. So you ended up at Mississippi State, of course. Talk about the recruiting process. Was it always Mississippi State, or were there some other schools that were kind of in the mix there for a little while?
Well, my process was different. I didn't pass my ACT test. Um, so first, when I got back that summer from playing AAU in California and Arizona, I started getting letters from Arizona State, teams out on the West. I got letters from Clemson, Georgia, all the Power Five schools. But that ACT test was a problem for me. I don't understand why. It was just a problem for me. I just couldn't get over the hump. I was 1 point shy every time. And to a point, I just got frustrated, and I said, "Forget it." Well, Auburn was recruiting me pretty heavy, and Auburn was wanting me to go to Cali County in Kansas. Well, I didn't want to go junior college rap. I would have, but I didn't want to go. I felt I was a player year in Alabama. I was Mr. Basketball. I felt I was just a SEC guy. I thought I was the SEC guy, hands down. Not knowing all the rules as far as Prop 48s and all that type of stuff. I didn't understand all that. But just me as a ball player, I just felt automatically that I was an SEC guy. And Mississippi State honestly sent me my first letter as a ninth grader. Mississippi State did. And then as the process went through, um, Rick Stansberry was the assistant coach, called me and said, "Hey, I understand the ACT is giving you a problem. Won't you come down for a visit, see if you like it, and we'll sign you." And so it was kind of like a test run to see if I could come in and do the schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wasn't too much worried about doing the schoolwork. So that's how my process happened. That's how me signing with Mississippi State happened. And at the end, it worked out for me.
Yeah. What was it like playing for Coach Williams? I've had a chance to get to know him a little bit, and he was an interesting guy too.
Oh, going in, not I had no expectations. I had expectations for myself, but I don't think the coaching staff had high expectations. Especially after you sit a whole year, you don't play no college ball. Then you come in the next year, you got a whole new recruiting class, you got guys coming back the next year. So the expectations were low, I think, for the staff. Then you put somebody in the game and you see the pride, the toughness, the competitiveness, don't want to lose. And then everything starts to change. Coach Williams he was a hard-nosed coach. He believed in defending. I don't think he cared about me averaging 38 points a game in high school. With him, it was all about defend, rebound, defend, rebound. So I changed my whole mindset to I don't care if I ever score. Coach said defend and rebound.
So you bought into that. I mean, you bought into his whole philosophy.
If you don't buy into the coach's philosophy, how you gonna get in the game? I mean, I had to sit out a whole year. So I had to prove myself all over again. So it didn't matter about scoring. I knew I could score, but for me to play, if I had to just if I had to just defend, then that's what I was gonna do. But in the game of basketball, what happens? You defend, you have an open shot, uh, you make it. You defend, you get another open shot, you make it. So now the confidence is coming, coming back to me then. So I surprised Coach Williams and the staff. I think I surprised the whole Mississippi State family because I came out of the blue with it. You understand what I'm saying? Um, but that's the beauty for me, for my story. That's my story, and I'm very proud of it because nothing was given to me. No one gave. The only thing that was given to me was an opportunity, and that's all I ever wanted was an opportunity.
When you think about the greatest team in Mississippi State basketball history, without question, one of the first teams that comes to mind is that 95-96 team. And I can rattle off for you the starting lineup probably without looking at my paper here. You had Marcus Bullard at the one, you had you at the two, you had Dante Jones at the three, Russell Walters at the four, and Eric Dampier at the five. And then you had guys like Bart Heitch coming off the bench and Whit Hughes. I mean, this is a lot of different types of personalities. I mean, how did that all mesh together?
One common goal, want to win. I mean, that's just not at Mississippi State. That's at every school in the Southeastern Conference. That's every school in the nation. You bring in different personalities all together. And I think the one thing that everybody wants to do is win. We had respect for one another. We were friends. We hung out. I mean, that's what it's all about.
You start out that year and y'all are 10-1, and then you get to SEC play, and it gets kind of bumpy. And then it seemed like things really started to click around the Tennessee game at home. Um, what was kind of the key to really hitting the gas sort of in that final stretch?
Starting off so fast, and then we went on a streak of losses. It was all about going back to it starts on the defensive end and the rebounding end, and everything else going to fall into play. And then including Dante Jones had got together offensively because it was a challenge for him at first. You know, he had the talent, he had the skill, but yet and still coming in to a veteran team like we had, understanding the small details, getting used to Coach Williams. I mean, and the long talks that we had as a team, he started getting his mojo, and that was the little bump that we needed for him to come on and get right. And man, did he ever get right? And we went to the Final Four that year.
Did y'all have a lot of internal conversations with him? I mean, I was going to say that exact same thing. I felt like when he figured it out that he was the critical piece that got
He was
y'all.
the X factor.
But what were y'all saying to him during that time? What were some internal conversations maybe y'all were having at the dorm? Or I mean, it seems like you knew what you had, but you just had to get Dante kind of clicking on all cylinders.
You got to understand too, when Dante had to have surgery before the season started. So during the preseason, he missed some preseason conditioning, preseason weights. Then he finally came back. So, and then learning Coach Williams' style and philosophy and buying into the defensive end. So my conversation with him was play your game. Hey man, you can play. Play your game. So I tried my best to give him as much confidence as possible, and down the stretch, it finally clicked. And then he started putting a lot of extra work in. I remember one day he spent an extra hour working on one move over and over and over and over. And when we played Kentucky in the championship game in the SEC tournament, that faraway jump shot that he worked on for hours, he made it over and over and over and over again against Kentucky. So hard work does really pay off.
I know that was a huge deal for y'all to get that win in the championship game in the SEC tournament against maybe the greatest college basketball program of all time. Take us into that moment.
That Mississippi State team that we had, we were not afraid. We weren't scared. We took it as next game on the schedule. Let's go play basketball. This is what we do. I mean, it's not like we're going in the boxing ring to fight. No, we're going to defend you, put the ball in the hole. And that's what we've been doing our whole lives. So it wasn't, to the outside world, it was big. Okay, it's humongous. You play Kentucky. But to basketball players, man, you put your shorts on the same way, jersey on the same way, shoes on the same way. Now, who's the better team? Let's go out here and play.
Yeah.
And that was our team's mentality. It didn't matter who it was. You still got to play. I mean, the game had to be played. It had to be played.
You go into the tournament as a 5 seed, and then your first draw is in Indianapolis at the RCA Dome against VCU. That was former coach Sonny Smith's team back in the day. Then you got to turn around and play Princeton. Then you go face Bob Huggins' Cincinnati team. And here's a blast from the past.
No,
This is prime Huggins.
UConn.
Huh? UConn. You got UConn.
You
No, you got Cincy, then UConn, don't you? I think it was Cincy and then UConn.
no.
Am
It
I
was
off?
UConn and then Cincinnati.
UConn.
Yes, you're wrong.
Okay. All right. Well, let's
It
talk
was
about.
Sweet 16. It was Sweet 16 UConn, Elite Eight Cincinnati.
All right. Let's take them one at a time. I want to talk about Cincinnati, and this is a name that is a blast from the past from a lot of people. Danny Fortson.
A
Tell me about
beast.
Yeah, tell me about playing against that guy.
A beast. What more can you say? What more can you say about him? I mean, a scorer, defender, strong, tough. I mean, a college basketball player,
Yeah,
a starter too. So I mean, that was a very, very good team. But we had a guy that was 6'11", 260 pound, long guy in the middle too.
yeah.
So it
Played
was a
in
great,
the NBA with some. Yeah.
it was a great matchup.
All right, so let's go to UConn now. I mean, it's you and Ray Allen. I mean, who's going to win in a 3-point contest between you two guys?
Back then or right now?
Either way, I mean, you talk about like one of the greatest shooters of all time. I mean, like, and you're a great shooter too. But let's say back then. I mean, could he beat you in a game of horse or 3-point
Back
contest?
then in 95, 96, I don't think anybody could have outshot me. That's just the confidence I have in myself. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody else, but I felt like I could shoot the cover off the basketball too.
Yeah.
So
But he was on another level. I mean, he may be the greatest shooter of all time. I mean, Reggie Miller's up there, Steph Curry's up there. Ray Allen's got to be in that conversation.
Ray Allen, Ray Allen, people ask me who the best player I've ever played against my life. And I say Ray Allen without a hesitation.
Yeah.
Without a hesitation, he is by far the best player I've ever played against. That could do it all. Penetrate, mid-range jump shot, 3-point jump shot. I mean, he's the Hall of Famer. He's the NBA Hall of Famer. I mean, it's Ray Allen. But when you talk about just flat out shooting the ball, I think I was damn good at that. And back then, I would have taken that challenge without a hesitation. And I love Ray Allen. I mean, he's certified.
Hmm. Yeah. So then you get Syracuse and you have to face John Wallace, Otis Hill, Todd Bergen. Um, what was so tough about playing that bunch?
A team played a zone the whole game. Um, I really don't like talking about that game because it's kind of hard because the run we were on, that was the game that came out of nowhere for us. I mean, because we didn't play to the best of our ability that game. Um, a lot of things happened that wasn't expected. We weren't expecting Otis Hill to have 16 points in the first half. That just wasn't expected. I think I had got 2 fouls early in the first half. I had got 2 fouls. A lot of things went bad for us early in that game, and we just could never recover.
I'll talk about this as much or as little as you want me to talk about it, but is this something that you've just kind of left there, or do you go back and watch it from time to time? And
I've watched that game 1.5 times. My son and I were online one night on YouTube when the game popped up on YouTube, and me and my son and I started watching it. And I got about the halftime and early in the second half, and I just had to turn it off. Um, you got a lot of guys from small towns on Mississippi State team, and I think all of our dream growing up, if you're a basketball player, if you want to play Division One, everybody's dream is to make it to the Final Four. If you're a basketball player and that's not your dream, make it to the Final Four, then you're not really a basketball player. And to have the opportunity to make it to that stage and the way we performed that game, that's kind of tough. But we all made it. We got to experience that in our life, and a moment that we are share forever, and a moment that we'll never forget. We have that as the best men's basketball team in Mississippi State history. That's an accomplishment that, honestly, that's an accomplishment we did where we brought the whole entire state of Mississippi together, where it wasn't any separation of Ole Miss, Mississippi State, because everybody was pulling for that team because it was something that had never been done before, and that's awesome.
Do you ever how often do you just drop that little nugget when you're at, McAllister's getting a sandwich and somebody says, "Man, you look familiar," and you say, "I'm Darryl Wilson," and then they go, "Yeah."
I kind of play dumb a little bit to let them mess around and see who I am.
Yeah.
But I always tell them who I am. I'm Darryl, and I thought that was you. You know how that story goes on, and then you're in a conversation for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. But you mentioned to him, you let him know that we would have.
No, I don't. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you know who I am,
Yeah.
you know what we did.
Yeah.
I really don't have to tell you.
See, I'd lead off with that. I mean, like if I had gone to the Final Four,
No.
Final Four participant. Nice to meet you. That's what I'd lead off with.
No. No. I don't lead off like that. No, I'm not like that. Now, if we start talking about it, that's a different story besides me introducing myself like that. Nah.
Yeah.
I'm just a regular country boy that played the game of basketball. I had fun with it. I got to see the world. Made history. SEC legend, Mississippi State Hall of Famer. Anything college basketball player could think about, dreaming about. I got to experience it, so I don't have to honk my own horn.
I've got this sort of thought that, and I want to hear your opinion on this.
Okay.
90s basketball. I feel like 90s, like late 80s, early 90s, and really throughout the whole decade of the 90s, that it was probably the pinnacle of college basketball. I mean, that's my opinion. That's what I believe. When you think about all the great teams in the late 80s and early 90s, you think about UNLV, you mentioned that earlier. Duke, North Carolina, Arkansas was awesome. Another team I think about that was a great team was Georgia Tech. And that was right around the time when you were graduating high school. Kenny Anderson, Brian Oliver, Dennis Scott, that team, they went to the Final Four. Incredible team. Would you say would you agree with that statement that the 90s was probably the pinnacle? I feel like that the 90s teams would beat the teams of today. You don't have to answer it that way, but how good was college basketball in the 1990s?
I mean, you just said how good it was. You name all those teams you named, and you forgot the Fab Five.
Yeah.
I mean, you forgot those teams.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kentucky teams before the 95, 96 teams, all those teams. But basketball has evolved. I don't want to take anything away from the new generation, because they're working their tails off too. They're putting in their work too. It's just times have changed. Times have really changed. But I think if you start putting the teams from the past against the teams now, comparing the two, you're still going to have two teams that's going to compete is going to have a lot of pride and going to want to win. You know, we can't forget about that. I mean, you're in the SEC, ACC, you're in these conferences because you're a competitor, you know, and you're damn good too, you know, really. So of course, I everybody gonna say that era is tough. You know, I'm not any different. But the new generation of kids now, they're balling right now. I mean, think about this Auburn team they have. My God. Have you seen those guys play?
I've
This
watched it
Alabama
several
team.
times this year. Yeah.
This Alabama team. I mean, the SEC right now. You see how good Florida. You see Mississippi State. I mean, Ole Miss last night. What they did last night.
Yeah.
I mean, this new generation of ballers. They're playing, man. They're playing.
You think Auburn could hang in there with UNLV in UNLV's heyday with
If
Johnson and
I'll say this,
Altman?
if UNLV can't guard that 3-point line, and the way Auburn shooting the skin off it, it's gonna be rough.
I just, that era was absolutely incredible, and for me to grow up in it, I think what you're saying is true. I mean, we all kind of want to think like the era that we grew up in, but you talk about just incredible basketball, and I think that it's it's getting a lot more interesting now with the SEC, having so many great teams. I mean, Jay Billis and Jay Williams have guys like that have really pumped up the SEC this year as potentially one of the greatest conferences in history. What's your thoughts about that?
First time in history could have 13 teams making to the big dance. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's almost the whole conference. I mean, at least 60, 70%.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hate to be on the committee for that vote committee because I mean, honestly, SEC basketball this year turned into SEC football for me because we hurting each other, beating each other.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So and it's crazy, but it's also a great thing for the SEC.
Yeah. Now you played 10 years overseas and just had a great professional career and but then you come back and you go into coaching. What made you want to do that?
Man, I had a lot to give. Um, I trained kids. I used to have about 25, 30 kids I was training regular at a church. Um, and I said, man, I want to coach. And I got into coaching. I was assistant coach for Coach Jeff Norwood, a Mississippi State Bulldog who got the head coaching job at Tupelo. He hired me on as his assistant there. I did 2 years at Tupelo, and then I did 2 years in Starkville with Coach Greg Carter. I'm sorry, Greg Carter. And then the job here at Itawamba came available. I applied for this job, and they hired me here. And this is my ninth year here. And in 9 years, I took the team to the Final Four, the state twice, 2 of the last 5 years, and the school hadn't been to the Final Four probably since 1951. So giving back to the kids has always been something I proud of myself on. Um, Working with kids, because I'm from a small town. I had a lot of stuff that I did on my own, and to be able to help a kid along the way is a blessing.
If you could go back and coach yourself, at 16 years old, 17 years old, what would you tell yourself?
Man, that's a tough question. Mm. I consider myself then. I worked. I was always in the gym. Um, I wish um, we had a gun back in the 1990s. I
More
wish,
technology.
man, God, I mean, as much as I was in the gym, self rebounding, a friend rebounding, having a machine that would never get tired. Oh my God, that's I guess I would tell myself never let anybody outwork you. You got to keep working and working and working and working. Um, that's all I can tell myself. I mean, man, that's a tough question. I've never been asked that question. That's why I'm stunned right now because I don't know I don't know how to answer that. Good question, Al.
Thank you.
Great question. Oh my gosh.
We may have to do part two, and we'll come back. We'll do second round of interview. I got more questions. We could be here all day, but I mean, like,
Hey, you got me. You asked me about doing this. I said anything for you. So hey, you got me right now.
so you have a huge honor in 2019. You get inducted to the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. What'd that mean to you?
It meant all the hard work paid off. To have my mom, Miranda Wilson, attend, my grandmother, Ruby Hayden, attend, my late grandfather, who passed away, was in attendance. But I know he was looking down. Um, that was that was awesome. And 6 or 7 of my college teammates came down for that. Um, when I won't say people, when I played the game, I did not play the game for self accolades. I played the game to win and to compete. That was my whole purpose of wanting to play, is to compete, not to get this or get that award or get that didn't matter. What mattered to me was, did we win? Did you win? Okay. That's all that mattered. Um, so to get that honor was amazing for me. Honestly, I called all my teammates. I told all my teammates that we're going into the Hall of Fame, not just me, because this does not happen for me without y'all. So I think they were very surprised I called, but they know the type of person I am, and they told me they really appreciated it, and they showed up for me. So that was a tremendous honor to go into the Mississippi State Hall of Fame. Um, that tells me my job. I did my job very well.
Last question. Now you're living in Northeast Mississippi.
Correct.
You're not too far away from where you grew up. How often do you get back down to Kennedy, and do you ever just walk around or drive around, kind of take a walk down memory lane?
I go back and have a basketball camp there. Uh, this will be year 9, year 10, maybe. Um, every year I go back and have a camp. My grandmother, my uncles, I still have family still in Kennedy, so I go back when I can. With coaching and being a father, being a grandfather, it's kind of rough, but I go back as often as I can. Kennedy will always be home. Um, there's no place like home, and I got friends and family that have been on my side since I've been in the world, and they have a lot of love for me, and I have a lot of love for them. So that bond and relationship will always be there.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, hey, I've had a blast talking to you, and as a former Mississippi State. I mean, to be honest with you, like before we went on, I just thought about. I mean, I got to Mississippi State the summer after you guys won it. I guess it was that next sum that not the not the immediate summer, but the next summer I got to Mississippi State. And I think that team had a factor in me deciding to go. I really do. I mean, I grew up a Bama fan, and I'm still a Bama fan, but I think it had a factor in me deciding to go to Mississippi State. So the impact of that team, had ripples effect that you may not have known. So, but anyway, man, this has been awesome, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. And I wish you the very best. And I'm going to go look to. I know you're right. I mean, because y'all probably did play UConn, then Cincinnati, but right when we get off here, I'm going to look to see and make sure I'm wrong. So
No, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, because the Sweet 16 game, I had 27 points against UConn, and we played Cincinnati the next 2 days later, and Dante Jones goes crazy in the Elite Eight.
yeah. Well, if I'm right, I mean, I know I'm not, but I mean, if I'm right,
hold on? Would you put a wager on this?
You owe me a Coke. You owe me a Coke if I'm right.
Okay, that's a bit.
And if I'm right, then hang on. If you're right, then I'm going to send you an autographed 8x10 of Henry Allred.
How about this? If I'm right, we get Henry Allred, the judge, to take us out to a steak dinner right there in Jasper. How about that?
There we go. That's right. I love it.
Henry, you on the clock, Henry?
Hey, it's on you, buddy. Either way, we're going to be satisfied. So
yes, sir, no doubt about it.
All right, man.
Hey, I really appreciate you inviting me on. I really had a great time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. If I can ever do anything for you, let me know, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Darryl.
Okay.
And that's a wrap. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Tailgate Podcast. And in the meantime, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We'll see you next time.